Thank you for viewing tonight. I'm Jeff Seidel, a volunteer at the Manitowoc County Historical Society, where I catalog the Manitowoc Police photo collection. I'm also a 30-year veteran of the Manitowoc Police Department. I want to thank Amy Meyer at the Historical Society for allowing us to use these photos for this presentation, and Meredith Gudzinski of the Manitowoc Public Library for arranging this presentation. I also have to thank several retired officers who helped me get the details right on some of these photos. Almost all of the photos tonight are from the Historical Society collection, and there are a few that are from my personal collection. Some of the information I use tonight in describing or leading up to the photos are from the book A Complete History of the Manitowoc Police Department by Dennis Moore. This photo that you're viewing now was taken in front of the Manitowoc County Courthouse and appeared in the newspaper August 1958. The photo caption stated that this is the first photo of the complete Manitowoc Police Department since 1938. 9 officers who appear in this photo also appeared in the 1938 photo. This photo also appeared in the newspaper twice in 1959. Fallen officers. The Manitowoc Police Department has lost 3 officers through the years. Meredith, I'm not advancing. There we go. Thank you. The Manitowoc Police Department has lost 3 officers through the years. Usually a memorial service for all officers lost from Manitowoc County is held every May at the Fallen Officers Monument located between the Manitowoc County Courthouse and the county jail. However, this year, because of COVID, that memorial service was not held. These are the officers that we've lost. Fred Miller, June 11, 1932. While investigating a suspicious vehicle at North 10th and York Street, Fred Miller was shot and died 25 days later from complications of the bullet wound. Larry Metzger, February 25, 1976. Officer Metzger was dispatched to one of two-car accidents at Waldo Boulevard and Maritime Drive. A fine mist had settled on the roadway and froze. While en route to the accident scene, he lost control of the vehicle on the icy roadway, striking a tree. Dale Tenhaken, September 23, 1998. Officer Tenhaken stopped a vehicle for being driven with no headlights and no license plates. The 2 male individuals crouched down on the front seat. He approached the vehicle and instructed both individuals to exit the car. As they were getting out of the vehicle, Officer Tenhaken turned to talk into a shoulder walkie-talkie, and one of the males pulled out his gun, shooting Officer Tenhaken 3 times. Walking the beat. There were 3 walking beats: North Side, South Side, and the Hill Beat, and these beats were walked 12 months out of the year in all weather. When you walk the beat, you check business front doors, side doors, back doors, and if that included back doors down dark alleys, you went down the alley. Sometimes merchants would forget to lock a back or side door. When you found an open door, you called for assistance, or as in the case before beat officers were equipped with radios, they walked to the nearest call box, called for assistance, and returned to the location they were at and waited for other officers to arrive. The building was checked, officers would lock the door and continue on the beat. On more than one occasion, officers walking the beat ran into someone trying to break into a business. This next set of photos describes such an event. In the early morning hours, 3:48 a.m. On December 27, 1954, then Officer Morton Swerdlow, who would eventually become deputy chief, was walking the beat on the south side of downtown. This was not his normal workday. He had switched days for the Christmas holidays. As he was making his check and entered the building at 908 South A Street, commonly referred to as the Wood Block Building. Some of us may remember it as the J.C. Penney Building. He heard pounding coming from the upstairs. At first, he thought it was knocking coming from the steam radiators heating the building, but as he listened further, it was a different sound than what he usually heard when checking the building. Portable radios at the time were unheard of, so to call for assistance, he had to walk to the nearest call box, which fortunately was right at the corner of South 8th and Franklin Street. He was told by the lieutenant not to enter the building and to go to the side of the Kresge store, now Manitowoc Coffee and Ivy Trails, to watch the back entrance of the building and wait for backup units to arrive. Officers Roland Dino and Marvin Bauk arrived and entered the building. As Officer Dino came around the corner on the second floor, he confronted a man with a raised axe. Officer Dino had his service revolver out, and the man dropped the axe and was taken into custody. Further investigation showed the suspect had entered two other offices, the Credit Bureau of Manitowoc County and the business office of Tasopos and Dracus, where he smashed open two safes. For those of you curious as to what Tasopos or Dracus office was, it was a business partnership of the Coffee Cup Cafe, Coney Island Restaurant, and the Princess Confectionery. So where did the axe come from? Just 1.5 blocks to the west is the fire station. It's still there, but a newer building today. But that particular night, they left a side door unlocked, and the suspect entered the station, grabbed an axe, and proceeded to the Wood Block Building. It was common practice for the doors leading to the upper floors to remain unlocked, and the beat officer would enter and check each floor. Retired Deputy Chief Morton Swerdlow assisted me in the details of this incident. This photo is the safe at the Friendly Finance, which had been hacked open. Friendly Finance and the other offices were located in the upper floors of 908 South A Street and was home to attorneys, doctors, and dentist offices on both the second and third levels of the building. The building today is the Village Square and is vacant. This photo is showing the office and the safe of the Credit Bureau with the contents of files and the contents of the desks scattered on the counter and papers scattered on the floor, and the top of the safe has been hacked open. Motorcycles and Traffic Division. In February 1923, the city purchased one Harley-Davidson Special Police type motorcycle equipped with a sidecar. A year later, they purchased an identical one. Those cycles remained in service until 1932. In February of 1932, the city purchased two new Harleys, which were placed in service in July 1932. This photo shows George Darband, one of Manitowoc's first motorcycle officers. He started on the department in 1922, was on the motorcycle for 22 years, and retired in 1946. According to the Harley-Davidson Company, he's seen here on either a 1926 or 1927 motorcycle. They can't be any more specific unless they had additional photos. This photo was taken at South 9th and Washington Street. The Manitowoc County Courthouse is in the right background. The Glander Studio is directly behind Darband. Motorcycles operated 12 months out of the year. During the winter months, a sidecar was added. As long as the temperature stayed above 10 degrees above zero and the roads were not clogged with ice or snow, the cycles operated. Early officers wore wool coats and pants with leather leggings or putts and gloves. Putts were leather pieces that fit around the shin and down to your shoe and made it appear you were wearing a full boot. In later years, leather summer and winter jackets replaced the wool. Officers wore bill caps, and not until September of 1960 were they required to wear helmets. This brings us to the Traffic Division. The Traffic Division was created on July 15, 1935, with Sergeant George Tulloch as the head. Sergeant Tulloch joined the department in 1928 when there were 13 officers and 2 motorcycles. In the fall of 1951, he was struck by a car while directing traffic and received back injuries and retired in September 1953. It was difficult to find portraits of all officers who headed the traffic department over the years. I used photos that best portrayed the officer during their career. This is a photo of Sergeant Tulloch. The photo is dated April 1947, taken at McKinley School. According to the newspaper story, the woman, who's blind and uses a seeing eye dog, would be visiting public and parochial schools to give safety talks to students. All but one person is identified in this photo. In May 1939, the department added a three-wheel motorcycle called a survey car. The survey car had a two-wheel back axle with an equipment box attached over the axle. At first, the survey car was used primarily for checking on parking zones in the downtown area. This is a newspaper photo, March 1945, showing George Darbent using a survey car to mark parked cars in the downtown area. September 1953, Sergeant Tulloch retires and is succeeded by Sergeant Melvin Reinhardt. Shortly after this promotion, Sergeant Reinhardt is promoted to lieutenant. In the 1950s, the department added 3 more survey cars, eliminating the Harleys with sidecars. It was the primary vehicle for the traffic division and was used year-round for parking enforcement and traffic control. This photo is dated 1955. This photo shows 5 officers and their survey car motorcycles with the poster for SD Day, December 1st, attached to the rear box. And if you look closely in the picture, I believe there is one sidecar motorcycle parked near number 5 in the photo. Note the posters on the back of the motorcycles. SD Day was a national program promoting Safe Driving Day, and in 1955, December 1st was the designated day. Manitowoc's promotional theme was Be Sportsmanlike Driving and Walking. This photo appeared in the newspaper in November 1955. This photo faces north on South 9th Street. Seen in the photo on the right are the 2 garage doors of the police station. Behind it is City Hall, and the U.S. mail truck is just leaving the post office, which is across the street from the police station and City Hall, but out of the photo. Everyone in this photo is identified. Sergeant Reinhardt retires in August 1966 and is succeeded by Sergeant Morton Swerdlow. He's eventually promoted to captain. This photo shows Officer Morton Swerdlow greeting Elmer Scher as his first day as the new police chief, July 1962. In this photo, Traffic Officer Francis Orth is investigating a traffic accident February 1963 at South 8th and Franklin. Note the winter leather jacket, which was sheepskin lined and was heavy but very warm. He's wearing a helmet and has a full boot. This photo looks south on 8th Street, just north of the intersection with Franklin. Seen in the left of the photo by the arrow is Officer Howard Straddle. He's seen in the same position in other photos of this accident. The corner of South 8th and Franklin was a very busy intersection. It was also a bus transfer point. Due to the fact there's a traffic crash at this intersection, Officer Straddle is most likely manually operating the traffic control signals. In the background is the Capitol Theater. The movie playing is Walt Disney's Son of Flubber. Seen on the right side of the photo is the J.C. Penney store, which is in the wood block building which we spoke about earlier. In 1975, the remaining Harleys were replaced by Yamaha 650 motorcycles. In 1977, the department received a 3-wheel Otis scooter followed by a Cushman scooter. In 1978, the Yamahas were replaced with Jeeps with driver's side on the right side of the vehicle. In July 1978, Captain Morton Swerdlow was promoted to Deputy Chief and the Traffic Department was disbanded. The department still has one Harley-Davidson motorcycle which they use during patrol on summer months. This photo is showing a police motorcycle with sidecar. In this photo, the motorcycle's been damaged. The photo sleeve was dated April 12, 1943, and marked Orzechowski, South 21st and Marshall Street. According to the newspaper story, a vehicle was being chased by both a police squad car and police motorcycle. During the chase, the car struck the motorcycle operated by Officer Frank Orchakowski at South 21st and Marshall. Officer Orchakowski received a badly bruised leg and was transported to the police station by a city alderman and ended up missing at least one day of work. This photo is facing east on South 21st Street at Marshall, showing the damaged motorcycle. In Dennis Moore's book, he states almost every traffic officer on a motorcycle was involved in a traffic accident at some point in their career. Some were injured so severely they had to retire on disability. I noticed in 2 instances involving police motorcycle accidents, the one we just talked about involving Officer Orchakowski in 1943, and one Dennis mentions in his book involving Emil Schultz in June 1938. In both instances, officers were transported to either the hospital, doctor's office, or back to the police station by private auto. Why would you be transported by private auto when the police department was providing the ambulance service? There may be a plausible explanation for this. In 1938 and 1943, these motorcycles were not equipped with radios, and not every house had a telephone. If there was an accident and the officer was, let's say, the walking wounded, if the house they approached didn't have a telephone, the people living there would have to direct them to someone who did. That necessarily may not have been their direct neighbor. It could have been a neighbor in the next block. By the time they find someone with a telephone, they were better off taking the ride by private auto. The old desk and new desk. In June 1899, a representative from the Gamewell Telephone and Signal Company proposed installation of a complete system of call boxes at various locations throughout the city. The city accepted the bid, and 21 call boxes and 21 telephones were installed at various locations in the city. Officers were required to call in from different locations every hour using these boxes. Officers would lift the receiver in the call box, and the time and the location was recorded on a paper tape at headquarters. It was difficult to find anyone that could confirm if this was a system that Dennis describes in the book about officers clicking the receiver of a box on the street, and the time and location would be recorded on a paper tape at headquarters. This photo matches the description. The system you see in this photo dates back to at least 1937. The left arrow points to a wheel with a narrow tape running across the front of the desk to a pickup reel, the second arrow on the right. Chances are, being that the fire department and police department did their own dispatching, this is probably not fire alarm systems. This photo was taken July 1960 and was marked Old Desk. This photo is taken because a new desk will be replacing it. The desk is facing the service counter where the lieutenant and sergeant in charge of the shift would sit, and the desk where the officer would take phone calls and dispatch police cars is on the right. The old desk was replaced by this. This photo appeared in the newspaper July 1960. The photo caption stated that a new blonde switchboard was installed at the police department. The new switchboard contains radio equipment, telephones, equipment to operate the doors in the police garage automatically, and a panel hooking it up to police call boxes. The article gave the dimensions of the switchboard and that it cost $5,000. The caption also stated, according to Chief Tomchek, this switchboard replaces equipment which has been in operation almost 23 years, which has become obsolete and worn out. The old switchboard will be removed to make way for a service counter and cabinets. Everyone in this photo has been identified. Police lights. Several years after the call boxes were installed, blue lights were installed on utility poles at various locations in the city. Below each light was a call box. When the station needed an officer, the station activated the blue light on either the north or south side of town. The officer, whether in a squad or on the beat, would go to the box, call in and get the message. When squad cars were equipped with two-way radios in July 1941, these blue lights were only used for beat officers. Remember, there were no walkie-talkies. This photo is showing a police light on the southwest corner of South 8th and Washington Street in 1948. It's off on the left of this photo. The light is slightly lower than the street light and has a completely different look to it than the street light next to it. This photo was dated June 1948 and was marked Street Before Being Improved. The photo refers to a major upgrade of Washington Street in 1948. You're looking westbound on Washington Street at South 8th. Call box. This is a enlarged version showing the detail of the police light and the street light. A little better view of it than the previous photo. Call box maintenance. Someone had to maintain these boxes. One of the better photos I found for the person responsible for maintaining these boxes was one dated December 1951. I say a better photo because I found one from the early 1960s, but the negative is in very poor condition and would be difficult to see the image. The person responsible for making sure these boxes worked was Alvin Crum, who's listed in several newspaper articles as the city electrician, and in some articles is listed as the police and fire department electrician. In an article January 1942, which was actually part of a 1941 report of work performed by the fire department, was a summary of work performed by Alvin Crum, where it listed him as an electrician for the fire department, and he does similar work for the police department. The report stated he takes care of 111 fire alarm boxes, 23 police boxes, and 16 flashers. The 23 police boxes are the call boxes we talked about, and I suspect the flashers were the police lights on the poles. I found other annual reports in newspapers, but none listed the number of boxes he took care of. Alvin Crum retired in 1963 and interestingly was a member of the firefighter union. This photo is dated December 1951. It was marked with the name Alvin Crum. This photo shows two men laying underground wire on the corner of North 6th and Commercial with the truck marked City of Manitowoc Fire and Police Communications parked next to them. According to a newspaper story, December 1951, the article stated Commercial Street, now Maritime Drive, received a facelift. The project began last summer, widening, repaving, installing new lights and curb and gutter. The new ornamental lights, 38 of them, were illuminated for the first time Christmas Eve. This photo faces northeast at North 6th and Commercial. In the right background is a Smalley Manufacturing Company. Neither man is identified in this photo, but I do question whether this photo is December. I don't see any evidence of any snow. Manitowoc Police Department receives new portable radios. So how did beat officers communicate with the station and other squads? In April 1963, the police department received new walkie-talkies, also known as handy-talkies. This photo with Lieutenant Emil Schultz appeared in the newspaper April 1963. The photo shows him holding a new walkie-talkie in his right hand, and his left hand is the battery charger. The photo caption starts, "Modernizing, a new Dick Tracy type development will help Manitowoc Police to operate more efficiently in the future." The caption further stated that the department purchased two small walkie-talkies which can communicate with each other, the station, other squads, and even have the capability of communicating to and from Two Rivers. By today's standards, they were large and cumbersome. These were one-frequency radios, and note the telescoping antenna which had to be pulled out before transmitting and pushed back down after use. The beat officers were the first to be assigned walkie-talkies. At the end of the shift, the officer had to remove the battery and place it in the charger. The next officer coming on shift would take the same radio, but would grab a recharged battery and be on his way. As additional units were purchased, officers assigned to squads were allowed 1 unit per car. The photo caption also went on to describe the other equipment seen in this photo. Emergency call boxes. How did the public contact the police in an emergency? You have to remember, back in the 1940s, 50s, and 60s, not everyone had telephones, and those that did meant landlines only. There was no 911, no cell phones, and no central dispatch. You also have to remember that in the 40s, 50s, and 60s, the city was not as large as it is today. There used to be small red call boxes, sometimes referred to as the Gamewell system, placed on utility poles throughout the city. These were the old break the glass and pull down the handle type systems. In researching old newspaper articles, there are quotes from the fire chief that people should know where their call box is in their neighborhood. You could use the red call boxes to summon the fire department to the location of the box, not your individual address. Those call boxes went directly to the fire department and summoned only the fire department. This is just a photo to show you the red box so you had some idea of what I was talking about. A May 1963 newspaper article stated the first call box of what was described as Manitowoc's new telephone emergency reporting system was inspected by both the fire and police chief at 8th and Franklin Street. When completed, there would be more than 100 boxes placed in strategic locations throughout the city. The article stated the old system, Gamewell, that we just talked about, was a direct connection only to the fire department and only for fire reporting. This system was a big advance in emergency communications. In the new system, the telephone inside the box is connected to the fire and police department's main switchboard. Remember, the police and fire department are doing their own dispatching. There is no central dispatch. Inside each box was a phone receiver. The caller lifted the receiver and was put in contact with the fire department. If the caller pressed the black button inside the box, then lifted the receiver, he would be put in touch with the police department. All calls were taped for playback if necessary. There was a demonstration box available in City Hall for citizens to come and see how the boxes operated. Small pamphlets were also available telling people how to operate them. The article also stated that the telephones have a unique electronic system that if it detects trouble within the system, the location is automatically identified and a telephone repairman is sent out. This photo is dated May 1963. It shows Officer Donald Milbauer showing the inside of the new call box at 8th and Franklin. You can still see the wrapping on the phone receiver. Also seen in the background is the smoke cellar and the fabric mart. This photo is a close-up view of the inside of the box. The black button is visible in this photo, and this photo is dated November 1971 and was taken at the corner of South 6th and J Street. Police ambulance. From information in Dennis's book, in 1927, the department purchased a Studebaker EW Commander acquired as an ambulance. The Studebaker Commander served as an ambulance until about April 1946. The city envisioned a new ambulance and had been wanting to purchase one for the past 5 years. May 1946, the city awards a contract for a new ambulance for $3,729 and received $150 for the old Studebaker. According to a newspaper story, July 1942, Officer William Deagle made his last ambulance call June 30th, 1942. He was in charge of the police ambulance for a long period of years. Upon his retirement, he received gifts from fellow officers and from people he had transported over the years. This is a photo of Officer William Deagle at the wheel of the police ambulance, shaking hands with another unidentified officer. This photo is taken at the police garage. But by 1959, this 1946 ambulance is worn out and needed to be replaced. According to the newspaper articles, April 1959, an alderman stated 2 station wagons, which were purchased by the police department in 1957, were equipped with a regulation cot and foam rubber mattress, which was as comfortable as those in the ambulance. He mentioned this ambulance seen in this photo is 13 years old and in danger of breaking down on a call. Also mentioned was that the city has provided ambulance service for the past 29 years, and that in 1953 the rescue squad was also purchased and is now maintained by the firemen. In May 1959, the city authorized the city clerk to advertise for sale the 1946 ambulance. But by later May 1959, the city had only one bidder for the ambulance. The city decided rather than sell the ambulance to the lone bidder, they would donate it to the unit of the Civil Air Patrol. It was donated with the stipulation that if it is no longer needed by the Civil Air Patrol, they would return it to the city, and that it would have to be available as a standby in the event of an emergency. This photo appeared in the newspaper May 1959, showing Mayor Walter Kepke handing the keys of the ambulance over to the Civil Air Patrol officers. This photo was taken in the parking lot, which was between City Hall and the police station. Everyone in this photo is identified. This photo is showing a member of the Civil Air Patrol handing over the keys to a district commander. It also shows the condition of the ambulance, showing its age. This photo is also taken in the rear parking lot between City Hall and the police station. This is another photo showing the ambulance before donation parked in front of the police station at 824 J Street. The building on the right next to the station is the Ratsack Hardware, Garden, and Lawn Supplies. This photo is dated December 1958 and shows two of the station wagon squad cars, which would double as ambulances. You might not see it in the photo, but the red cross is visible on the rear windows. This photo appeared in the newspaper special edition titled Report to the People, January 1959. The photo caption stated that these two station wagon squad cars, which were purchased in 1957, have proven their worth and versatility. Each car is equipped with a portable ambulance cot and a fire extinguisher. It also stated that station wagons are becoming popular in state cities each year as police vehicles. All but one officer in this photo is identified. Having an ambulance meant first aid training for the officers. This photo is dated March 1953 and shows Melvin Reinhardt kneeling, demonstrating first aid techniques, and Francis Lalensack sitting while others look on. This photo, also from March 1953, shows Officer Francis Lalensack on the left and Officer Frank Orchakowski kneeling by the cot, practicing on a patient who is unidentified. Melvin Reinhardt, the instructor, looks on. Both of these photos were taken in the police station. In Dennis's book, the first mention of a special police officer was found in an issue of the Manitowoc Tribune, May 1876. Other than a brief time span between 1901 and 1903, there were no official records kept regarding special police officers. Of the numbers that were recorded, as many as 100 to 125 people are noted in the police daybook under special police category, and at least 7 of them were women. The police department continued to use extra officers into the 1960s, and sometime between the 1930s and 1960s, the name changed from special police to auxiliary police. To work as an auxiliary police officer, an individual had to attend training classes held at the police station, which were taught by full-time officers. Classes ranged between 15 to 20 men who received a certificate from the department before starting their duties. This photo was dated October 1961 and labeled Auxiliary Police Second Class and appeared in the paper November 1961. The photo caption stated that this is a second class of 15 auxiliary police who graduated from a required course. Their duties will include patrol work on the harbor patrol boat, assist at county fair, Lincoln High homecoming and football games at Municipal Field, and working civil defense test runs. Everyone in this photo is identified. So what was a civil defense test run? This series of photos were dated April 1961 and marked Civil Defense Test, Woodrow Wilson and Memorial Hospital. According to a newspaper story, April 27th, this was a simulated boiler explosion at Woodrow Wilson Junior High. The exercise utilized police and fire departments, civil defense auxiliary police, and used Wilson Junior High School students as victims. Injured were transported to Memorial Hospital. The newspaper ran a full page on this exercise, including a picture from this series, May 1961. This photo shows 6 Wilson students who played simulated injured during the boiler explosion at the school. No one's identified in this particular photo. This photo shows Dr. Daniel Pick checking on a Wilson student who's acting as an injured person during the drill. Both this picture and the previous picture were taken in the auditorium area of Wilson. This photo is showing police and other people participating in the drill, placing an injured person in the rear of the police station wagon. A less seriously injured person is walked to the car. This photo is looking west from the auditorium entrance of Wilson. Homes in the area are seen in the background. This photo shows an unidentified police officer and another unidentified person placing a simulated injured person in the rear of the police station wagon. The camera is also looking west from the auditorium entrance of Wilson Junior High. This is a good photo of the police station wagon and the comment made by the alderman with the cot as comfortable as that of the one in the ambulance. That looks like very cramped, tight quarters for being an ambulance to today's standards. All patients were transported to Memorial Hospital. This photo shows Memorial Hospital medical staff waiting in the garage of the emergency room, waiting for the injured to arrive at the hospital. In this photo, the Manitowoc Fire Department Rescue Squad removes one of the injured from the vehicle to the medical staff at Memorial Hospital emergency room. There's only one person identified in both of these photos, and that's Auxiliary Police Officer Joe Tomschick on the left. No one else is identified. This photo shows the Auxiliary Police First Unit standing in front of the Manitowoc Fire Department Rescue Squad that participated in the drill. This photo appeared in the newspaper May 1961. A note of interest, the Fire Department Rescue Squad has a civil defense symbol on it because according to a news story, August 1953, the rescue squad was purchased through civil defense with the primary use for civil defense work, but the fire department would use it for rescue work. Everyone in this photo is identified. I don't have enough time to cover the next series of photos, so this will conclude the presentation. This is the 1938 photo of the Manitowoc Police Department, and it appeared in the newspaper August 1938 and was titled Manitowoc Police Get New Uniforms. The 9 officers seen in this photo also appeared in the 1958 photo we saw earlier. Thank you for viewing tonight.
Thank you very much, Jeff, for doing this presentation, and just wanted to thank you for being patient as we deal with the technical issues as well. Thank you, everyone.